I just had some French fries and ketchup, and the ketchup looked pretty gross. It was splattering out of the container, which it usually doesn't do. It's a ketchup I usually don't buy. So Hashem may have arranged that so it would look like a bloody scene. So something bloody is about to happen. You can heal that. Ya Rafa, ya healed. That kind of thing, or whatever it is you do when you do what you do to heal things. So again, something bloody is about to come up. Right? It looks like it's kind of like a terror event or something like that. There's supposed to be an official at the Vatican cleared. Nobody instructed me in this. Obviously, the government treated me like a mushroom my entire time there, just so they can take advantage of me. But it's like a Cold War thing, World War II thing, a thing that has been used many times over. There's supposed to be an official at the Vatican cleared for secret U.S. communications for papal advisement. When I Googled papal advisement, it says papal advisement is primarily structured through the Council of Cardinals, a body established by Pope Francis, and advice on church governance and Roman Curia reform. It's regularly one of the cardinals. Just all right. So the G8, originally G Council of Cardinals. Let's see, G8. This group around the world as Mount Universal Church. I mean, somebody like that. I don't know if they have somebody that works with the Swiss Guard that may be more appropriate. Well, you have to speak about the psychology that you're using. I mean, obviously, you swear them to secrecy, Right. Well, the Pope's allowed to do what he says he's doing, but he has to do it in a manner that doesn't cause additional people to die, which is what he doesn't want to happen. So if you're affecting the psychological effort of the US military to move from active war and possibly, obviously in Iran, the Pope would hope there would be reforms. There's no way that I imagine the Pope thinks the government of Iran is doing anything decent, or the regime that was there. Well, again, it's the ability to assess a situation and realize that over time people die anyway. So the idea is to try to, it may increase the death for a moment, but that's to get it away from it completely. And if you're altering the psychological effort, because AI is sitting there and they're sitting there and saying, how can we move it? And it's like a hostage negotiation. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything other than trying to get it over with and save even the life of the perpetrator. So you don't have to send the SWAT team in. Yeah, it's weird. It looks bloody. Bloody potatoes. I don't know. Is it the Irish? so, yeah, the days of the Irish terrorism. I don't think it's going to rise up again, but it could be. So, for some reason, I hope it isn't that the spies are holding back and not helping Trump, playing their game out. But there's supposed to be somebody at the Vatican that has been cleared, and the Vatican should be contacted to say, we understand the Pope's busy. You have a cardinal that we have cleared. And again, he doesn't work for us. We don't want somebody that's just going to work for us. We need somebody who's neutral and will explain to the Pope these, because it's obvious that the Pope doesn't understand. And I don't think I've ever run into that before. I mean, a little bit with Francis, but not like this. I mean, well, again, this is the world we live in. It's really weird, is because you can't always say everything openly. Again, obviously during World War II, that happened. So the Pope has to understand that when he's drafting what he says, he can't embolden the Iranian regime to fight. Because if you listen to what Trump's saying, some of that is just, he has to say it based upon like a hostage negotiation type scenario. And again, it still isn't I mean, they can actually live and have a life tomorrow, if they do what they're asked to do. It's not like it's, if they want to be suicide people, then fine. I mean, that's where it's really going. But the idea is to get them to stop being suicide people and do what's beneficial for everybody involved, including themselves. The more people that they attack in the private sector and kill, the less likely that that's going to be possible. So you need to be stopped as soon as possible because they're not going to continue on forever. No Democrat is going to get into a large enough office. And do you realize it's like it's more than 2.5 years that Trump's people will still be in that office? Just because you got them to move along a couple people, because a couple of your spies have been operating them for years, it goes. The thing going on with Christy Noem going on since Obama. So I think she was somebody advised her wrongly. I would tell you that, but it may have been these people that were inserted into her life. But I mean, it's not everything she did, and she's a target of the Mexican cartels. She's a target of Ecuadorian cartels. Anytime you show up there as an American, especially somebody working law enforcement, you're going to become a target. And their goal is to unprotect her. It's the same thing as the goal was to unprotect me, but it didn't work for them because I woke up. They want to say I scammed them or something like that. I mean, they're nuts. Relax is a nutty criminal. So again, we need somebody cleared at the Vatican to hear what you have to say and then take it to the Pope. And again, yeah, the negotiation has to include the Pope. The Pope has to sit down with somebody in U.S. government. Could even be the CIA director. But again, you know, everybody fantasizes about what the communication is at that point. Maybe it's Rubio. Maybe Rubio should sit down. It's probably a better. I think is he Catholic? I think he's Catholic. Well, maybe the Rubio can sit down with the Pope and explain the process, and they could have somebody with them, if he need, an aide or something. Like, well, but that's the problem. The Pope still appears not to understand. Somebody has. I don't think you explained the issue to him. Well, he has to take more of a neutral stance. Well, he's like, I encourage both, and this is the way popes have done it in history. I encourage both sides to negotiate in good faith and come to a conclusion that there's a better option than war. Well, because it's stepping on the toes of psychological operation that helps Iran do the right thing. And it's changing the psychology. The Dems are doing it on purpose. I know that. But the Pope isn't. He just doesn't know what's going on. Which means he's not in something, I imagine. Because some of the popes before were in. And it's not to do the bidding of the CIA. It's to do, what's right to get to move the Iranian regime to fruition. Because they're just playing a game they're stalling is what they're doing. I'm not sure. I'm not in like that, so I don't know what the motivation is. The stalling could be weapons deliveries, could be all sorts of things. Democrats promising them as soon as we get elected in November, we'll protect you, and they really can't, only to a certain degree. Again, if the Republicans start sharing information, truthful information about Democrats, I don't think they have as much a chance of being elected. Now they've started to fix their image, and that's okay. But well, because enabled and your people enabled this rip off of the benefits. I believe in benefit programs, but I've said all along the problem is that we're not fiscally responsible. It's just fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, there's no problem with her living there. I mean, if the Coast Guard had a problem with it, then that would be something different. But I don't think that they have a problem. And I'm sure they appreciated her as a secretary. But again, the basic idea is you have to find her something, someplace to live. And again, I don't think it's DHS's responsibility. I think it's at this point, I would say the State Department's responsibility. So let's see. See if there's State Department housing anywhere in DC. You have approved. Now we need secure. They have approved providers. Yeah, you have to find some secure housing if you're going to move her. But you don't. Again, this idea when they say jump and you say how high. I mean, you got to stop that. That's what they're trying to develop. And then that's what they show the cronies in the public, the anti-ICE cronies. Look how powerful we are. Well, she doesn't have to be uh, that close in at this point. So we have other facilities, Fort Belvoir. Okay, got 1,600. I'm not sure if the security's high enough, but secure on-base housing at Fort Belvoir is managed by the Villages at Belvoir, part of the Michaels organization, offering over 1,600 homes across 15 distinct neighborhoods for service members, families, and civilians. These privatized gated access neighborhoods features townhomes, community centers, and 24-hour remains of Villages at Belvoir. All right, nice. But they would need to have, like military security, real security, not just gated. Yeah, I think it's on. Is that real? So stuff like that has to be available somewhere. So she doesn't have to be at the Coast Guard place, but you need to find her someplace like Fort Belvoir. She has to be behind a secure gate, and that would probably be true for at least another year, unless something else comes up, and then it would extend. No, that's the scam of the government. I'm protecting people. That's what they did to me. deep state government. Now they'll say that she's displacing others, but I mean, she's earned protection. I mean, obviously, at this point, what was that guy? I think Mullen's not going to need that kind of protection because he didn't go to Ecuador, Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, cementing those agreements. She's already worked as the Shield of America type position. Plus, she was doing that's probably what they did. She did too much. They had her doing too much. Not for her, but for the system. The system couldn't provide. All right, yeah. So there's other places, and there's Joint Base Andrews, which might be a good place. There's privatized. It is a secured military, while the base is. So they privatized it. Application process. It's behind the. Make sure. I think it's behind the secure gate. Clark Realty. Let me see. Joint Base Andrews Housing. Is it behind? Yeah, okay, it's behind the secure gate. So again, you have a lot of facilities there. They look like. Well, again, it's a high security request, so there's just there needs to be security, and we're not going to play some stupid, ignorant congressman's game. So there needs to be a high security situation provided. Well, the question also is who's going to move in there? Is there somebody that would move in there that needs to move in there, quote unquote? I mean, there's no reason to move somebody if there's nobody that really is going to qualify for that housing and want to move in there. Because I imagine that the commandant has a home somewhere of the commandant of the Coast Guard. I guess that's what they call. And that's the point. The security required for the commandant of the Coast Guard is nowhere near the security required for Kristi Noem, no matter what position she has based upon her service over the last year and a half at a minimum. So again, we're not here to play games. Congressman's every narco's buddy, so he can walk down the street and laugh all day while he unprotects people. So again, there's plenty of places where she could live. It looks like it's the Villages of Belvoir, one of those homes. I'm not sure, availability or anything, and I'm not sure the security. Again, Joint Base Andrews probably has something too. The security might be higher at Andrews. I'm not sure. Probably would be, I guess. Yeah. Now the question is it behind? Is that behind? Yeah, it said it was behind. Right. Yeah, Liberty Park Andrews definitely has some place that would be befitting a envoy. Probably security's probably up there. So uh, let's uh, let's ask the red. What do they call them? Marcinko and the red team there, or whatever the red group. Yeah, it's probably now that came out, it's probably a good idea. Let's just reassess security at our DC metro area housing facilities. Yeah, you got the three of the security force. Well, that's stupid. There's, I guess, a search issue by 316 security forces. So it looks like they're more gung ho than not. So it's not so bad for somebody that's being protected. So that's probably protected better than Belvoir, quite possibly. I don't know if they still have the other stuff there. There's some. Well, they're still handling it. I don't think they're stationed there though. Just the training was. Oh, it's all decommissioned. The special atomic demolitions munition teams. Well, I knew special forces was handling that now. At least I think they are. Well, at once upon a time, it was very high security. So it's probably still high security. Probably either one. They all look like they have some nice, probably a better housing situation. That's what's going to happen. She'll get one of those places to be happier there. I think it's newer construction, which is always better, healthier. It's just, it's unfortunate, but she's going to need to be moved ahead of people on the waiting list, and it's based upon her service. It's international service at this point, and some of it was military in nature. Definitely fell into the State Department, but she was doing it as far as being DHS. That's the game the narcos play, unprotected people in government, and they're government supporters. So yeah, that's all you do. But we're not. Don't jump right now. What I would do is I would look, say we're in the process of securing other housing, right? But it's based upon the threat level she needs secured housing. Right? And again, I don't know if there's, I guess if the commandant of the Coast Guard doesn't move in there, you can go to the assistant commandant or something, whatever that is. Right? It looks like there's some nice housing around there, so I would probably like a colonel or something, captain colonel, kind of like Radar Raleigh. Yeah, I'm a sergeant general. I blew past sergeant major years ago. That's the inside. So that looks good. Yeah. Joint base Andrews and probably Belvoir. I'm sure there's something on Belvoir. I didn't look. I'm sure there's some reason Belvoir has high security. And then this gives an opportunity once decide that you might want to uh, move former Secretary Envoy Nome to one of these facilities, and that gives them an opportunity to assess their security as far as executive protection and things like that, and then they can find out whether they have some areas that they need to improve for general security of the base. Well, they say that's why Marcinko was, which is weird because I used to do some of the stuff like that, but a little different because I was protecting the courts. I wonder if they got mad at me for that. Red team or something. What was that? Red cell. That's it. They got mad. I guess these are former cops, so I'm testing them to see if security's up. Maybe they got mad. What is that woman? I knew a young woman in Santa Fe that worked. She called it butt hurt. We all got butt hurt. So they went after Marcinko. Right. So maybe that's why some people, everybody has their motivations for evil and criminal behavior. Some people, they're merely possessed. I will agree with that. So I don't know if we want to go as far as red cell, but we need to do, need to go to that type of thing. Where's the red cell thing? There it is. So after relinquishing command of SEAL Team 6 to Captain Robert Gormley, Marcinko was tasked by Vice Admiral James Ace Lyons, Deputy Chief of Naval Operations, with the design of a unit to test the Navy's vulnerability to terrorism. This unit was the Naval Security Coordination Team, OP-06 Delta, unofficially named Red Cell. So we want to get into some of that. You could be a gentleman red cell type of operation, but we want to do that. At this point, it's come up. Joint Base Andrews, Belvoir, the Coast Guard facility, other locations. I don't know. There's in the Army's. There's a military op 4 teams. Are they up on that, or do we need somebody higher? If we can trust them, maybe somebody at CIA could do that. Right. To simulate enemy tanks as a blue 4. It's like the 1st battalion. Are they in DC? No, I'm off topic, but let's see here. I'm supposed to get I got to go get my license too, get it transferred over. Where are they at? They're in Germany? Yeah, I'm sure we can put together anybody. I mean, I could do it. I'm sure anybody that knows what they're doing could do it. And I haven't been in the government in years. Well, you study the most recent efforts globally, and then you try to put them into play. I don't know if we want to go full red cell, but again, AI can do it too. Again, it's like here the military's been doing it for years, like war games. The computer war games. So you essentially plug in. Probably could do it with AI easier. Plug in all these type of things that are going on and methods that they've used, and see what AI says about the security of the facilities. Again, that's a lot of work, but there should be a way to create a template and just fill in some information. It'll be easier in the future once we get all the cameras linked in. because you'll ask for vulnerabilities, and AI will find them with the cameras and other such things. Uh, Yeah, so we need like an Op 4 unit for security at those bases, and I don't know how far you want to go with it. No, I think. Let me see what the commandant's housing looks like. I make an assessment, a real estate assessment. Let's see if I can find it for some. Is that it? Okay, there it is. Yeah, it's a pretty grand house, but it's an old house. Yeah, I'd move out of there before the mold and mildew get you. They've already got you. It's a grand looking house, but they got newer homes over at Joint Base Andrews and Fort Belvoir. Yeah, yeah, it's cool looking, but I'd clear out. Get some new housing somewhere else. Now the State Department can put that request in. Maybe that's where it should go now. And then we can all take over Cuba from Envoy Noam's housing unit. I just need to move forward. I mean, you diehard communists, there's no reason to keep loser governments in place just because they have a similar social structure. And you all didn't even know what communism is. It's just a shame. Right? At least we had a lot of people years ago that would say, "Hey, look, it's not what you're saying it is." And again, some people are saying that they're still alive, but not as many as we used to have. There is, yeah, you don't. I mean, it's cool. It's an old house, but I get out of there. Yourself into new housing somewhere. Right. Yeah, that's cool. It's actually looks like it has. Is that a banister? Is it? Is that the heat? Radiator heat? Or wait, that looks. Oh, look, it had a radiator. That's a lot of wood, but oh, that's nice. There's no need for it though. Move forward to newer digs. There might be a reason to. All right. Yeah. So again, it's a security assessment. They're saying you could. They believe that your security. And it's just something that came up inside that the security at the other locations could be better, or most likely would be better. So they got special security teams at Joint Base Andrews, and I don't know. Let's see what's at Fort Belvoir. Look at DLA's over there. All right. Corps of Engineers, Intelligence and Security Command, Criminal Investigation Command. You still got a lot of engineers over there. So they are they're logistics and an engineer, but they're also an intelligence center. So that probably increases their. It might be Joint Base Andrews. But again, like I said, just don't jump. Don't say how high do you want us to jump. If you want to tell them that you're looking at moving her, then that's fine. And say we're getting an assessment to assess other properties, and she'll move at the time that security can be assured at another location. No, this isn't like giving million. She's not staying there like we're giving millions to the Somalis. It's not the same thing. Just in case you're trying to infer that. This is what's wrong with Mexico. Same thing. We don't have secure housing for the military and law enforcement. Okay, so Joint Base Andrews. Okay, right. Okay, it's 20 miles to the White House. But again, for her particular position, she should be near the airplanes. So that's why it's Joint Base Andrews. So, right, theoretically, she should be flying. I don't know if she is or not. She should be flying in and out of South and Central America. Right? I don't know if you're doing better OPSEC or what. But again, there was reason not to have OPSEC on the other because it was just showing the new initiatives and things like that. So, yeah, Joint Base Astros is probably the best location for the envoy for Shield of Americas based upon security and the availability to fly it at a moment's notice. Well, it's most likely to stay. Again, everything she's doing affects the military. So there is a military side to it. I mean, we have special operators a lot of different places. It also affects law enforcement. So there is a reason for her to be on a military base, and she's got the threat, high level threat there. So where is she now? Let me see. Location. It's 15 miles, 24 minutes from where she is now. But that's the highway mile. Straight distance, it looks to be much closer. It's probably around 8 miles from, maybe 10 miles from where she is. And then she could meet with the president if he's, you know, comes into Andrews. So she can have any quick meeting that she needs to have. So you don't have to tell anybody where she lives just because I'm saying it. And I don't know if you're going to do it, but if we do increase, and again, I don't know what the projection is. If we do, like Iran, we're bound up in Iran. I don't think you thought it would take this long, but again, it takes as long as it takes. Obviously, you probably wouldn't move in Central America till after the midterms, unless there's a reason to. I mean, we are obviously moving in Ecuador, but to move the same way in Mexico or something like that would be a little different. So yeah, that looks to be great. And we need somebody that can speak with initially Rubio could set that whole thing up, or I think he's so he was going to visit the Pope. I don't know if he already did it. And again, he could say something while he's there and say, we'd like to set up a back channel between us and you, because we can't say things in the media, and we can't just call anybody at the Vatican. So it has to be somebody that's cleared that we can talk to, and then they can advise the Pope. Again, this is probably something that goes back to World War II also. I wasn't CIA back then. It was OSS. Yeah, OSS, right. So the Pope actually used to have, in World War II, was connected to OSS, which is former CIA. No, he was actually an operator, but right. Right. So there's back channels that they established just so, because you don't want to do it in the media. Right? Someone it's nothing wrong with a back channel. And Myron C. Taylor, U.S. envoy, would speak with the Pope, Pope Pius the 12th. So again, maybe not so secret, but secret, right? So that there's somebody they can call and say, we are actively moving psychological operation in an attempt to negotiate this thing as quick as possible. And if you say these things, Iran feels like they have additional backing in the world. And that's going to cause us issue for, getting them to do what's right, even for their own selves. I mean, it's just the same. It's just suicide people. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God. And all that you do, praise God.